Hello and welcome to Elite Dangerous with your host Czar Peppers. I was getting a little bit tired of tanks and planes the past couple days and I need a little bit of a break, so I thought I would get back on Elite Dangerous and explore a little. Now for those of you who watch for World of Tanks and Armored Warfare and whatnot, don't worry, I'm still going to be doing primarily those videos, but every now and then I like to throw in a little wild card. Now, I haven't been uploading quite as much as I'd like to be. Unfortunately, living in an apartment, some days you have a dog who's barking all day, and with very sensitive microphones, it doesn't really go well with that. Anyways, here we are in the Witch Head Nebula. Now, I started out on a trek, which is eventual goal is to get to the Orion Nebula in Barnard's Loop. We are about 1,000 light years away from Earth, 800 light years from that particular destination. Now, I took a break from this for a while when I got here, so I haven't been playing for a while. This was my first time on, so I was trying to get reacquainted with where the hell I was, but looks like we are in the Witch Head sector. So why don't we get down to a little exploring, get a bit closer to the nebula so we can get a better view. Now I'm after after a close call with the star right there, we are now on our way. Now I'm one of those people who sort of bought into the hype of Star Citizen, and I read everything about it. I had to know absolutely everything about that game. And I was desperately wanting to play a game like that right now, because I'm impatient, I suppose. So I thought Elite Dangerous might be worth a try, because it looks somewhat similar. I mean, it doesn't have all the sort of first-person aspects that Star Citizen will have, but might be an interesting game. And the size of the universe really interested me. The thing I love is you look up at all these stars, and it's not, it's not just a background. You know that each one of those stars is an actual place that you can go, and it's possible that there's a planet just like Earth on any one of them. And it's fascinating how well they've, I mean, the procedural generation in this game isn't just random. It's based on the findings of the Kepler Planetary Hunter Telescope and other programs finding exoplanets like that, so you sort of get a sense that this is a relatively realistic portrayal of what the universe is going to look like. Now we're traveling faster than light, something that most people say is impossible these days, but you never know. There are a number of intriguing theories that may bring it into the realm of possibility within the workings of general relativity. Alright, a new star. Unexplored. Now, taking a look at one of the interesting planets from that system. Looks like we're going to have a water world. Something that's really actually interested me quite a bit, an entire world made of water. One real world example is the GL-1214b, which was discovered in 2009, which is the most likely candidate right now for being a water world. And in 2013, NASA even detected possible clouds in the atmosphere. So it may very well be a planet like this one right here. And they're usually super Earths, which means they're larger, usually twice the size of Earth. But interestingly enough, a planet like a water world actually has less density than Earth, I believe. I don't know if there's anybody out there like me, but I look up at that and it's wonderful. I really am amazed how far graphics in games has come these days. It's so close to being perfect. Well, if you think about it, that's actually quite a long way to go. Alright, so the planet we are looking at is right here. A terrestrial water world with an active water-based chemistry and carbon water-based life. Interesting. You never know what's going to be below that flowing dark blue desert. Well, we've got a few gas giants. Those could bring in a bit of a profit for discovering them. It's worth mentioning that I have this thing outfitted with the best exploration equipment that there is, or at least that I could find in the sector I was in, but I'm pretty sure they're the highest end. Now, the Witch Head Nebula is a reflection nebula. The reason why it has its blue glow, at least to people in our region of the galaxy looking at it from this way, is the star Rigel, as you see here, which is a massive, massive star. Very hot star, which is what gives it the nebula that glow. Otherwise it would just be very dark, and you can see on the other side of the nebula that it is pretty dark. In fact, here's a picture I found of the Witch Head Nebula. It was taken by NASA's Wide Field Infrared Survey Explorer, and you can really see why it gets its name. Now what we need to do is refuel. I know my fuel is almost full, but when I'm out here away from stations where I can refuel, I like refueling pretty much every other star, because when you go through all your fuel and you have to refill the entire tank with the fuel scoop, and I do have, I'm pretty sure it's the highest end fuel scoop, but it was the highest end I could find in the sector I was in. Even with that, it takes quite a long time. Alright, so here we are. I think this was the system I was just in, where I almost burnt to death. Let's see if we can refuel off this star. Might be too... There's some stars where you have to get really close in order to refuel, and it's just, I don't think it's worth the risk. And I think this might be one of those very stars. Alright, so let's look at those flares. Or they're not solar flares, but it's a binary system. Actually, no, it's got more than... There's a few others over there. So it's a four-dairy system. Yeah, I know, that's dumb. Okay, let's jump to the next system, see if we can refuel there. Now, one interesting theory for faster-than-light travel comes from a Mexican scientist. Is he a physicist? I'm not sure. I never remember his name, so I'm just going to call it the Abby drive, or the Abel drive. Basically works by making a bubble. I'm simplifying this a ton, but it makes a bubble in space where the space behind you expands and the space in front of you contracts. So you're not moving through space faster than light. Space is sort of moving around you / pushing you through it, and you're standing still. It would require a lot of energy, though, and one of the fundamental principles that is required for this to work isn't even proven yet, so it's all theory at this point. But I believe there is a guy at NASA, Walter White, and his team is working on it. I don't know to what extent. I believe they're just doing small-scale tests at the moment. Alright, now we found a star that we can refuel off of. See, if you were empty, this would take an obnoxiously long time. Now, I know a lot of people like to keep flying around the star while they refuel, but I just like to get to a certain distance and stop it. Let it refuel like that. Because I find it doesn't really refuel any faster if you're going faster. Most people think it does, but in reality what they're doing is they're actually just getting closer as they move along, so then they think they're getting more as they go faster. Alright, now we go on to Rigel. There it is, one jump away. Well, through the magic of video editing, it was actually like 5 jumps away, but for you, only one. Now, another interesting, and it's not going to be wouldn't be like a warp drive, but the electromagnetic drive. I know there's a lot of controversy around whether it would actually work or not, but if it did, it would mean that people could travel at pretty high speeds, not the speed of light, but a pretty good fraction of the speed of light without any fuel. Only energy would be required, which could be generated either by a small reactor or solar panels. Now here we are, this is Rigel B, fairly impressive star as it is, but look at the size of it compared to Rigel, massive star. 79 times the sun's radius, and one of the brightest stars as seen in the sky from Earth. From here it can be seen in the constellation Orion. Of course, the star you're seeing here can't be seen from Earth because it's completely drowned out by the light of its larger brother. And Rigel B isn't a particularly faint star either, but its biggest brother is over 500 times brighter. So it makes it rather difficult for instruments on Earth to get any information on it. Now, look here, this is incredible because I'm 10,000 light seconds away from Rigel. For people who don't play Elite, that's probably not going to mean anything, but that is huge for being that kind of distance away. And a star like that will end in a catastrophic explosion, a Type 2 supernova, flinging stellar dust light years in every direction. Now we get a real close-up look of this giant, and to be honest, from up close it can be deceiving. It can be hard to tell its size, unlike it was when you had another star to compare it to at a distance. But keep in mind that we are like 200 light seconds away from this thing, and where I didn't expect it to start fuel scooping, but it did. So now we can take a look at how the Witch Head Nebula gets its hue. As you can see, the blue on one side and the Rigel right there reflecting its light down on the part of the nebula facing Earth. And as you can see, on the other side is dark because there's no stars reflecting on it. Now we're going to be exploring, getting close up to the Witch Head Nebula, which I think calls for a little exploring montage. Well, here we are at Witch Head Sector, insert alphanumeric designation here, right outside the Witch Head Nebula, so we can get a real close look. We've got 20 new objects discovered in this region to go explore. Asteroid belt, asteroid belt. Oh, here we got a gas giant. That could be interesting. Now I have to say, when I'm done this whole star trek, I'll be very happy to see a station. Being out here in uncivilized space can be a bit lonely. No other contacts, no other people around, just you and thousands of light years of nothingness all around you. I remember it actually took me a few days to get out this far, because I usually played for like an hour or two and then went and did something else. And of course on the way I was exploring some systems, not all of them, because if I explored all the systems on the way it would take ages. So I just picked the few that look interesting. Alright, now we're coming up on this gas giant. You can see the Orion Nebula and Barnard's Loop in the background. Looks like we could have get some money. We have a rocky world that'll be worth something. Now if you don't play this game and you're unfamiliar how exploring works, you basically go around and you scan planets And then when you come back and get to a station, then you can sell all that information for quite a bit of money. If you've been out for a few days exploring various systems, you can easily get $1 million or two. I have no clue what I'm going to get for this, but I imagine it'll be quite a bit. Now this was the one moon that didn't look like an ice world, which aren't really worth anything. Great view of Barnard's Loop in the background. And it looks like this gas giant has quite the extensive ring system too. And the moon that we're scanning is very close to it. Interesting. Yeah, that's amazing. You can see the plane of the Milky Way galaxy in the background. The galaxy that we are in. I love the lighting and the shading in this game. They've done a really good job. Things like gas giants look particularly wonderful. And there we go, a little glimpse of Witch Head. Up close and personal. Now I really wanted to get to a star inside the nebula itself, but this was the closest I could get. And it's sort of not quite inside, but just on the edge, so you get an amazing view of that. Sometimes you're sort of left speechless. And maybe that's alright. But I think with this spectacular view, we will leave it with that. Now, the next episode will probably be an evolution of a noob. Don't worry, we're going to get plenty of Armored Warfare, War Thunder, and World of Tanks in the future. But I'll probably do some more episodes of this. Maybe you guys would like to get all the way to the Orion Nebula and check that out. There's some amazing star clusters there I'd like to see. But for now, I think I'll leave you with this interesting planet I found in this system. Good night.